I feel the sacred presence of the Lord and His divine grace of Prabhupada to be able to interact with all the wonderful Vaishnavas in this community of Rishi Radha Montal's family. Thank you for having us here, Shapri and myself. We will discuss today about something which is very, very relevant to our practical day-to-day lives. It won't be much of philosophical analysis of the deep shlokas of our Gaudiya Tattva, but we'll be talking about something which is relevant to our daily lives. Family life in Krishna consciousness. And all of us are here are family people, right? So it's something which is very, very relevant to all of us. Sound is all right to everybody listening behind? Am I audible? Am I audible? Is it all right? Okay, good. So begin with this understanding first. Of course, we all know that we have all descended from the spiritual world. We all come to this world from the spiritual world. The spiritual world, as you explained to us, is a world of a wonderful, large family. The Krishna in the center of the family. And the whole culture of the spiritual world is one of love, surrender, and service to Sri Krishna. And that is our original God-conscious culture. And as we know, the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Therefore, the pure lifestyle, the pure means of living of those eternally liberated souls is reflected here among the conditioned souls also. And the culture also gets reflected. Right? The closest this culture comes to the original culture is called as the Vedic culture. Vedic culture is nothing but a pure reflection of the culture of the spiritual world in its closest essence. And that culture is guided by the Lord to again help the conditioned souls who have come here to live as per that cultural guidelines, to again reconnect with the Lord and evolve life after life after life and go back to where they belong. As Prabhupada said rightly, back home, back to God. Right? However, the Vedic culture, through the passage of time, the ravages of time, hitting powerfully upon human civilization, destroys. Kalos, Sri Krishna says, Tam I am, destroys everything. So it destroys the culture by breaking the legs of dharma systematically as time goes by. The four legs of the whole dharma are destroyed, and lo and behold, we are in Kali Yuga. And the culture gets destroyed tremendously. And we find down the line, and then we trace down the history of degradation. Around 15th century, 16th century comes up the Industrial Revolution. A huge blow to religion and dharma, being replaced by science. Science, earlier very theistic in nature, with people like Newton and Einstein, very theistic scientists. But then, gradually science starts replacing dharma. You will start worshipping science and not anymore religion or dharma. So people get completely misguided as to what is really the way to live, because there are no values being anymore promoted. So it becomes a valueless society, something similar to having a boat in the ocean without a rudder, or in more modern times, driving on a dark night without headlights and without GPS. With no GPS and no headlights, if you're having a nice car, I think there's a Mercedes Benz or BMW, where do we really drive on a dark night? Dark night is Kali Yuga. The dark night where human civilization loses its sense of direction. And heavily this Western civilization, which starts in the Western hemisphere, starts spreading all over the world. Just like you have cancer, right? Cancer starts in the body with one cell. One cell disobeys the immune surveillance system of the body and behaves awkwardly and multiplies without following biological laws of the body. And soon it is 2 and 400, 500 small tumor forms, and it spreads. So the cancer of atheistic culture has spread not only in the West, also in the East, right? So in this scenario, we find that you have no ray of hope as to become more and more degraded and become more and more living like animals. There is no culture of family life whatsoever, right? What is family life? And why is it so important for us to discuss this? I reminded of a small real story of a young American boy who was born of very, very rich parents. They were billionaires. But as culture would have it, the father and mother separated out through divorce. He was a product of a broken marriage. Grew up in opulence, and he had what American society can provide. He had all that money could buy. As he grew up into his teens, he felt a vacuum. He began to think. He was a thinker. He was intelligent. I miss a family. I did not know what it is that love, that tender care of a mother. I did not know what is the hug and embrace of a loving father. I did not know what it means to live and play mischief with sisters and brothers. I do not know what is the form of living together. This vision racks his mind and makes him restless and sleepless. He asks people, how do I experience a family? People tell him, in America, you won't get any influence of this stuff at all. Neither in China nor in the Middle East. You have to go to India. That's the only place that the vestiges of family life still exist. He is serious. He flies to India. He is in a place called as Varanasi. All of us know Varanasi, Bank of Mother Ganga. He knocks on the doors of various people and begs them, can I stay with you and experience the love of a family? And some good, God-loving Hindus, they welcome him. Say, come, beta, stay with us. Right? Of course, he pays them. He's a rich man, he's a rich boy. He pays them for staying with them. This is in the 1980s. One ISKCON devotee very marathon, book marathon in December. You know, book marathon is Prabhupada's marathon is there. Very good. They knock on the door to a book distribution. As we all go, we know the experience of book distribution. God knocked on the door and said, he talked about the books, see the books are there. And he sees the person who opened the door is a fair-bodied Westerner, young man, and he speaks to him in English. And the boy answers him in Hindi. He speaks, "Hame kitab nahi chahiye." How did this boy speak Hindi? And who are you? Where you come from? Story starts, conversation starts. Of course, he gets convinced to buy the book, and his story starts. And there, he is so fortunate, and he learned what is a family. And because he's truly looking for something higher in his life, he got Prabhupada's grace, he got Prabhupada's book. Not only got his family of love and emotional care, but he would join Krishna's family as well. He is now initiated devotee in our movement. Hare Krishna. Right? So, this is family life which we all Indians, most of people who are here are Indians, is something which is very natural to us to go in a family. The human body has millions and billions of cells. The whole society is like a body, and the family is the cell of the society. Right? Unless every cell is happy, the body cannot be happy. One disease cell disturbs the whole body. So Prabhupada is that very special person whose contribution we can scarcely even begin to understand, that a destroyed culture, which was rapidly even getting extincted out, was again revived. Prabhupada is such a special person to this planet. He brought again the same culture we have spoke about, the spiritual culture of the spiritual world, back to the material world. He embodied that. He lived that. He understood that. He was a part of that culture. He was an eternal emissary from that spiritual sky. And therefore he had all the understanding of the intricacies of how to live in this world, but not, as they say, of this world. So Prabhupada brought the culture, Vedic culture of the spiritual world into this material world. And therefore we are also grateful that he set up these temples all over the world, where the temples became the places where the culture again descended back. Prabhupada used to say, all of you remember, that when we are not in LA, we are in the spiritual world. This is not a part of Los Angeles. So this temple also, it is not a part of Texas, Houston. It is a part of the spiritual world. And of course, we don't understand it that way. That's our folly, that's our mistake, that's our lack of realization. But Prabhupada has given us these embassies of the spiritual world in all parts, in every town and village. This is going to happen. Right? Next one. Few thoughts by Nisha Priya.
Actually, sometime back, we had a friend used to call up our home, and they were asking us that we are calling you up, but we are not picking the phone at home. So we said, no, we are at home. Saying, no, the phone rings, but we don't pick it up. So we did a little bit of investigation, and we found out that when they used to call up, the phone used to ring in the telephone exchange, but some wire had got cut from the exchange to our house. So we were not getting the connection at home. Same way, we were just thinking about it that Prabhupada brought this culture from the spiritual world till the temples. Isn't it true? But somewhere that wire is getting cut from the temple before it reaches our home. When we come to temple, we are with everybody, Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Prabhuji Dandavat, Mataji Dandavat. But when we go home, we are something else. And our family sees some other side of us. Isn't it true? They see that he's so good in the temple, she's so good in the temple. But what happened at home? Nobody knows about it. If you tell our grandparents that, oh, we are going for a Grihastha training program, so what training is required in being a family person? It's so natural. Our senior Grihasthas here, nobody needed any training or anything. But in today's day and age, because the whole concept has become so because when we get mobile, we get some free apps along with it. Right? So in Kali, the mobile of family life comes with two free apps. What is that? World and Democracy. Two apps come along with it without asking for it. That's why one time a boy had gone to a wedding with his father, and we in India we have this Hastamela. You must have Hastamela. It's one of the ceremonies, procedures before the marriage starts, where the boy, the man and the woman, they hold hands. So the boy asked, this small boy asked his father, "Hey, why do they hold hands like this?" So he said, "Beta, don't worry. Before a match starts, before a boxing match starts, that's how it begins." Now this is the concept our people have of marriage. That what are you getting into? Some fight or something? So people are just so scared of getting married. It's a trend. I mean, some of you here people told that are unmarried people also. Some of them you are sitting here, but usually many people, because they see in their homes, they see in their neighbors, they see among their colleagues, for the condition of the marriage that is happening, they don't want to get married. Have you heard of such things? So, no, we don't want to get married. Or they want to delay it as much as possible. In early days, we used to get married earlier. But now, you see like at 27, 28, 30, people say, okay, now I start thinking. And then at 35, 40, you actually start looking for a partner. So that's a trend, everything, late marriage, late pregnancy. Why do you do something? Why do you want to delay something? Because you are afraid of it. We don't want to do. So that's what we want to understand, that this culture which Prabhupada brought from the spiritual world to the temple. So having the highest philosophy in ISKCON, why are we not able to practice it in our homes? Where is the connection getting broken? Where is the line getting broken? Yeah. When we come to the temple, you feel attracted to the temple, right? Just if we go back in our memory lane, remember the first time we entered the ISKCON temple? Remember how it was? See, some of the faces are smiling. That, oh, it was a great feeling. Why were we feeling great? What did we see? When we came into the temple first time, what did we see in the temple?
What culture did you experience in the temple? What was your feeling? Why did you get connected to this place? There will be something more. It wasn't just the marble, something more than that. What culture?
What attracted you when you came first time to the temple?
Devotee selflessness.
Selflessness. Okay. Just one word. What's the good word? Can you just know what attracted you? What was very catchy when you came to the temple? What did you? Prashadam. What did you see in the temple? What observation, what qualities you saw?
State of bliss.
Bliss. Yes, Madhu. Vaishnava attire. Very good. Humble. Humility.
Kirtan.
Sunday school, Kirtan.
Loving nature.
What feel? Loving nature.
Love.
Love. You saw love. You saw respect. People are offering obeisances. Did you see anywhere else like this? You go to meet somebody and somebody suddenly ducks down and offering. You never saw like that. Neither we did it, neither we saw anybody do it. So we saw all these things. We saw respect. We saw care. Somebody cared for us, right? If we came to temple and nobody bothered about us, would we come again? None of us would come again. But when we entered, somebody said, was nice to us, was courteous to us. So we felt like coming again and again and again. So some of these qualities we saw which attracted us to coming to the temple. But when these same qualities we don't see at home, then that creates confusion in our minds, in our children's mind, and that's what makes us feel that, oh, maybe I shouldn't get married.
So broadly, of course, the scriptures tell us there are two diverse ways of living in this household situation. And broadly they call it as Grihastha and Grihamendi. Now Grihamendi is a self-centered, where the whole purpose of marriage is simply to live a life for bodily and emotional pleasure. It is based on individual self-centered considered sense gratification, and that's about all, right? And most marriages in this world are for that purpose. However, we are sitting in this beautiful temple room today. We realize that beyond that, yes, we also want some gratification. It's not that we don't want some gratification, right? But beyond that, we also want something more, right? We would like to have deeper fulfillment in our life. Because we know that simply living a life based on physical and sensual pleasures is very unfulfilling, it's very unsatisfactory, right? Because almost it matches with the animal civilization where even female animals and male animals come together and they produce children and take pretty much good care of them, right? They protect their babies, their nests, their eggs, as well as we protect our homes and our mansions and palaces, right? So it's so much similar. But when there is a desire to live in higher consciousness, that means when you want to live on the principles of dharma, when you want to offer your life, your wife's life, your children's life as a combined offering of your love at the feet of the Lord, Krishna Arpanam Astu, right? When that sacred deep feeling of devotion is there in the heart, Krishna says, Yad Karoshi, means whatever you do, including you when you indulge in family life, Tad Purushva Mother Arpanam. So we are here to understand together for today and tomorrow some basic principles by which we can live a God-centered life. What do we expect to achieve? If you were to live a proper life, there is such beauty, there is such pleasure, and such lofty goals to achieve which can give us the deepest satisfaction to our souls. It can be a very deeply satisfying experience living with a wife, husband and children for say 40, 50 years. This relationship lasts. So let's go to some of the goals which are there. What are the goals of the ashram? Right? Of course, as I said, it is one of the finest ways to please God. The purpose of life, the purpose of ashram, right? We talk about ashram. What makes it ashram? Let's we always say, I'm joining Grihastha ashram. I'm beginning my Grihastha ashram. I use the word ashram very without much thought sometimes, right? What does the word ashram mean? Ashram is a sacred place, a holy place, right? Where sages, rishis, and great yogis would live. It's what is ashram. But Prabhupada designed it. And then inside even our own homes, whether a small house like Sudama's house, or a small hut, or a big palace like Maharaj Prataparudra or Maharaj Yudhishthira, whatever situation you are, it has to be made into a ashram. The word ashram comes from the word ashray. That means we create an atmosphere which is so love-filled, where the love of Krishna manifests through all the members in such a powerful way that every member there feels the shelter of God. He feels that he is in the loving embrace of Krishna. When he can create an atmosphere, that atmosphere is called as an ashram. It has nothing to do with the type of granite, marble curtains which we have. It's all about the atmosphere which we create. So basically this training programs, the discussion is about not about our sadhana bhakti, how it can create an environment, right? If through sadhana bhakti we don't create the environment, and we are performing a sadhana, we are performing our rounds, we are having our deities, right? And yet there is so much disharmony in the atmosphere, we are still not living in a ashram. And if moral hypocrisy still predominates the atmosphere in the house, if you have 100 deities in the home, right? You are still not living in a ashram. It's a state of consciousness. In fact, Prabhupada says in the 3rd canto that even if you don't have any deities in the house, right? But if the husband and wife and the family live in harmony with the principles of Krishna consciousness, then Lakshmi and Narayan stay in that house in an unmanifested form. And he blesses that couple and the family with all material and spiritual opulences because Narayan himself resides there. So, yes, deities help, but along with that is a responsibility to live in accordance with the fact that the Lord is residing in my house. So I must live by the culture of the spiritual world like this, with selflessness, with love, with humility, with respect. So when we can live with this culture, not only in this temple, but also right into our homes, right? That is the goal of Krishna family life. Of course, another goal is to produce and procreate Krishna conscious progeny, right? Prabhupada said the world really needs, the world is flooded by what Prabhupada called as Varna Sankaras. But we are in a fortunate situation that when Krishna conscious mother and father come together, then they can actually create such powerful, purified progeny which can descend from the higher realms, from the higher planets and populate the world. In fact, we see in our society young children at 18 months singing Nasika prayers, learning, and he was just at my devotee's home at Pittsburgh, and she was telling us, his mother was telling us about the two daughters she has, right? That when I was 18 months old, this girl, and she just said, "Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu" once, very loudly. And this girl who had never heard this talk before, consciously finished the whole mantra by saying, the small girl in broken language said the entire mantra which she had not spoken or not been taught about, right? And because she had read, his mother had read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam during her 9 months of pregnancy, and there are special activities to infuse spirituality in that young baby in the womb, right? So we have a facility to create such empowered progeny in this world. Of course, the Grahastha ashram is a perfect ashram to preach. Probably even more powerful than the Brahmachari ashram. Why? Because people are not going to look at brahmacharis as good examples. They may say, they may not understand the way we understand brahmacharis, what renunciation really means. But they will look, the people of the world will look at you and me, whether the tilak on your forehead, the kanti in your neck, and your sari and pallu covered and dhoti and kurta, with all this good attire of us, supposedly godly life, are you guys more happier than the other lot who are not having these things? If they hear that it is the same old story, and then they are not get impressed with our society. So, for the world to see the power of Krishna consciousness, the power of ISKCON, Prabhupada society, then it is heavily upon you and me as enhancers to showcase the power, the potency, and purity of Prabhupada's society. So, living happily, somebody asked, who is the best preacher? Somebody knows 100,000 slokas? Somebody is Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta, with all these degrees. Well, he may be a great Vaishnava, no doubt. But the biggest preacher is a happy devotee. All agree? You agree? Right? A happy devotee who is actually soaking in the bliss of Krishna consciousness through his words, actions, and deeds, infuses such an environment of godliness, purity in the aura around him, then that people see and experience that, yes, this must be a special society because all of you are so happy. So our goal is to showcase Krishna consciousness to the world. Right? And so there are these goals are there, and of course the 9th goal is to be genuinely happy. Right? Want to say something on that?
No, there's a shloka which we have been born in Krishna consciousness. We've been hearing since then that this world is what? Dukhalaya Ashashvatam. You heard so many times.
Everyone agrees? Everyone agrees? It's true? Yeah, everyone agrees.
Sometime one couple was there, they were having a fight, and this person, the man tells the wife, why you are fighting? Anyway, this world is Dukhalaya Ashashvatam. So then it was understood understood that the world is Dukkhalam Ashashvatam, but we don't have to prove that to our partner. Okay, no? I am behaving like this with you just so that you have the strong desire to get out of this world. Because this world is Dukkhalam Ashashvatam, it's temporary, it's full of miseries, and I will make your life so miserable that you develop intense desire to become Krishna conscious and get out of the cycle of birth and death. So let's not take that on us. The world itself is giving enough miseries to us. So at least let us have some pleasure when we come home. That's why what do we say? Home sweet home. We look forward to coming home, isn't it? It's not that we come home to feel like our Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that when I come home, Grihete Goloka. The environment should be such that it looks like Golok Vrindavan at home. So you feel like coming home. It's not that the husband comes home early. The wife said, how come you came home early? And the wife says, and the husband says, my boss told me to go to hell. So I came here. We don't want that type of feeling that I've come here because this is hell. So I'm coming home. Why? We should be looking forward to have that sweet feeling because it gives us ashraya. As we were explaining, ashram is a place where you get ashraya. Ashraya means in a fatigued place. Ultimately, when you travel a lot, when you come home, you feel so relaxed and comfortable. Do we get that feeling when we come home? Or you just feel like running away from home or reaching home late just to avoid the, Kurukshetra at home? Although Vrindavan is also a dham and Kurukshetra is also a dham, we have to decide which dham we want to live in. This dham or that dham. That's important for us.
Yeah, we went a guest the other day in India, right? His office would get over by about 6:30, but he would never come home before 10.
That was always
because the moment he goes home, he knows that there's going to be a fight. And there will be a big problem there with his wife, and she will have something to, catch something and start off with the fight. Not all wives are like that, but this is one example of putting out. People cannot feel to come home because the ashray factor which she's talking about is not fair, right? So of course the 10th point we're not going to read, but it's about giving an atmosphere in the ashram, in this home, where people who are our young children can grow in a very balanced, emotionally balanced, secure manner. So a lot of goodness of the Grihastha ashram has to do with creating an atmosphere for the good upbringing of our children. We know in America, and of course in India also, that the world around is so powerfully degrading consciousness of our children. They are getting so distracted. So the factor of giving holy sanskaras is heavily upon the family at home. So the atmosphere which you create at home is going to decide the children when they grow to the teens, that they will make a conscious choice to stick the principles which their parents have practiced, or they will shift to practice the principles which they see in their colleges. So it is a very big responsibility for us to give the best environment for our children to grow under. Alright, so Grihastha ashram gives birth to all the three ashrams. In fact, it preserves the three ashrams and there is ample opportunity to render lots of service. So that means Grihastha ashram is not in any way inferior to other ashrams. The opportunity to serve are umpteen. On the level of renunciation, the sannyasi brahmacharis score higher, obviously. Right? On the level of offering services, so all four ashrams, I would probably look at it more like a sevashram rather than darshan. It's an ashram for rendering service. Right? So our darshan should be seen as such a sacred sevashram. Ashram will give service to the world.
And in many communities around the world, you see what is the percentage of people who are going to be brahmacharis and sannyasis? More so in the Western world. In India, you might still see some brahmachari ashrams and sannyasis in the ashram. But you don't see that. Which is the most commonly seen? Grihastha ashram, because they are all family people. In old ISKCON, the concept of becoming a devotee is that you join temple full time. But today we are not going to do that, right? We all stay outside and we still get connected to the temple. It's not that we just leave everything and we move into the temple. So how are we able to practice that culture of Krishna consciousness? By staying at home as good grihasthas to set that example for people to follow. That is the biggest challenge.
Of course, when you, as against the brahmachari ashram, renunciation ashram, we have advantages in this ashram. We have our own homes, sense of privacy, we have shelter, you have pleasure of food the way you want. You can, in the brahmachari ashram, of course, you have a fixed dish which people prepare, but in the ashram you can have supremo and whatever, so many nice wonderful dishes you can prepare. It's social security, you have a liberty of regulated sex pleasure. That's something that's not there in other three ashrams, right? And of course, you can experience fully the pleasure of living together, right? Because all of us need to have, there's a deep need to have a sense of belonging. There's a need which is relevant to all of us. And if we create an atmosphere in a house which is so nice that we get that need of belonging to a family completely satisfied. So therefore, to create this atmosphere, we need what we call as training.
So as I mentioned that our grandparents and all did not need training because they understood their duties. Today, we want the perks without the responsibility. We don't want to take the responsibility of a certain ashram and we just want to enjoy the perks of it. And still, usually what we do, the onus is on whom? Whenever we have Grihastha training program, devotees tell each other, come let's go for the Grihastha training program. But within their mind they are thinking, by going I hope she learns. Or I hope he understands. But we never go with the thing that I hope I learn something. Maybe it's for me. We always say, come, take a partner. Our partner will change. Because you always want some change in the opposite person. Why? Because you think we are perfect. There's no problem with me. The problem is on the opposite side. And to see, in our Indian culture, we don't believe in that change culture. Elderly parents, elderly uncle and auntie, they were celebrating the 60th marriage anniversary. And somebody asked them, that, uncle, can you tell us what is the secret of 60 years of being happily married? And he said, beta, when our clothes used to tear, we used to stitch them and reuse them. Today, if your clothes tear, you just dispose them. You come from the disposable culture and we come from the mending culture. We believe in mending things, mending relationships, mending everything. And you people come from disposable plates, disposable clothes, everything is disposable today, disposable pens, just use and throw, use and throw. Till it is of use, till it gives you some happiness, we use it, otherwise we just throw it. So that is what we have to learn, that how can we, obviously differences are going to be there, but our mind, what does it convince us of that? I'll see if I get married, if I like it, fine. In olden days, they used to have training, isn't it? When in Ramayana, Ramnavami is approaching soon, when Sita got married, along with her other sisters, and was going into Ram's family, Sita's mother, anybody knows Sita's mother's name? Sunaina trained her daughter, see, you are getting married into such a glorious dynasty. The Raghu Vansh, then 4 sons are there, such a nice thing. Please behave in such a way that you maintain the love and unity among the family members. You serve them in this way. There are so many verses and chapters in the Ramayana which explain the teachings which were given by the mother to the daughters. Right? That is the training which was given. In today's day and age, if somebody is getting married, they say, oh, ho gaya, tayari ho gaya? All prepared? Yes, catering done. All booked, shopping done, gifts bought, patrikas printed. We are ready for the marriage. But is that what it means to be ready? Are you ready here? These are all the external preparations which we make. But am I ready to take the responsibility of becoming like when we got engaged, the first time I met him.
She's not asking me whether she should say it or not.
I don't know, somehow we feel very family feeling, close doors, silent. When we met, I asked him, how do you feel? So he said, till now Now I'm trying to figure out how we both should go back to Godhead. It's a different perspective, that from I, now we are becoming we. But today's generation is I-centered. We always think, I like this, I don't like this. I like him, I don't like him. I like what he said, I don't like what he said. This I. And as soon as that I comes under threat, we want to change. Now partners are not like mobiles or cars, that if we wait for some more time, we could have got a better model. People think that maybe I should have waited and we got a better model of a car or a better model of a mobile. But partners are not like that. Why do they say that marriages are made in heaven? Doesn't mean that, there's some astrologer sitting up there. But God, Krishna knows there might be thousands of more handsome men, there might be thousands of more beautiful girls. But for me to perfect my life, to go back to Godhead, this person is the best person for me. This is the person who Krishna has chosen that would help me in my journey to attain my goal of life, which is to purify my consciousness and to go back to Godhead. So this is the perfect partner which I got. So whatever we have, how to make the best out of it, that requires some training. And who has to take the onus? Right? I would like to tell one more story. We are a part of 7 couples at our temple, and it's a part of the Grihastha Vision team. And the chairman of our Grihastha team, he tells a very beautiful story to start the seminar with. So it tells about one very rich man, and he decided he had his only daughter, who was also very beautiful. So he announced that whoever wants to get married to my daughter tomorrow, everybody come to my mansion from the banks of the swimming pool, and I will tell you the terms and conditions. So who doesn't want to marry a rich man's daughter? Plus, she is beautiful. So many young boys, all aspiring to get connected to her. Came on the swimming pool and they are all waiting, eager that what's the thing. So the father said, oh, I have only one condition. Modern day swammer type of thing. He said, I have only one condition. Whoever can swim across the swimming pool and come from here to there, I will get my daughter's hand. And not only that, I will give them half my estate. So all the boys, all the young men, ready to jump into the pool. He said, but there's only one problem. This pool is full of poisonous snakes and scorpions. So 2 steps ahead, 10 steps back. If you are alive, you get married. Who wants to get into this? Nobody was getting into the water. And father, like Janak Maharaj, something was thinking, what will happen to my daughter? She will remain unmarried. Suddenly there's a splash in the water, and this young gentleman, swimming, just swam across and came out to the other side of the pool. And the father was relieved at last. Somebody decided to take the plunge and come, and he held the boy, patted him, and he said, young man, congratulations, here now you take the hand of my daughter and take half my estate. So the young man looked at him and said, that's all right, 1 minute, but tell me who pushed me in. Who pushed me into this swimming pool? So we also asked that question, that who pushed us into getting married? The men had a choice to be brahmacharis, but they chose to get married. Women did that choice. We had to get married according to what is expected out of us, to be sheltered for the rest of our life. So who asked us to get married? We decided. So on whom is the onus? Who has the onus? If I have taken a step, it's on me. How I make the marriage work. So let's not always point the finger at opposite person, that he's not like this, she's not like this. That's why I am like this. Very easy, no? Sometimes if you don't, a partner doesn't find something, I gave it to you. Very conveniently we just say, but I gave it to you. But look, it might be in your same bag. It could be with you also. So same way, the onus is with us. Because statistics says that 70% of marriages end up in divorce. But our Bhakti Vidya Purna Maharaj, from whom also we have taken a lot of input for our seminars, he said 70% marriages land up in divorce. But wherever does it mention that the rest of the 30% are happily married? Anywhere it says that? Because we are Indians to some extent, we stick around together, that what will society say? What will my children say? What will my parents say? Already now, half the life has gone now, let it be. We just push it along, we just get along, what is there, whatever, let me focus on Krishna consciousness. But why? We have the highest philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Then why with that we are not able to have the pleasure of having a happy married life? Does it say that you have to have a miserable life to be Krishna conscious? No. Let's enjoy the pleasure of Krishna consciousness fully instead of getting it dampened and acting as a speed breaker in our life to not be able to do that. So that is why we require this training, that because there is so much disharmony, there is mess and suffering going on in the world. So let us show the good example. The world doesn't lack anything else. There is no shortage of water, there is no shortage of employment, there is no shortage of... What is the shortage of? Good examples to see. When we had gone to Mauritius, there was a crowd of 200 people who attended the seminar. And we just asked one question to the audience, that so many of you are sitting here. We have a question that how many of you have seen a good example of a happy marriage in your house between your parents? Right? Parents are the first teachers. What we see at home, the way the son sees the father behave, he ends up behaving the same way in his marriage. The way the girl sees her mother behave, she ends up behaving the same in her marriage. So we ask them, how many of you have seen stable family life in your house? How many people do you think picked up their hands? Out of 200, 8 people picked up their hands. Can you imagine? 8 people. So when we have not seen something, how do you do? We need to see something to be able to do. But what are we doing? We are becoming perpetuators of the same crime. We didn't see our parents do. So I am like that because I didn't see my parents do. So then we want our kids to say the same thing. I am like that because I didn't see my parents do. Then the kids will see, say, we are like that because, so where is the cycle going to break? Somewhere it has to break, otherwise it will be a vicious cycle. So can we become that okay, now I take a call, although I had a bad upbringing, usually we see that if the mother-in-law has been treated by her mother-in-law, she treats her daughter-in-law because she feels, why should she enjoy? I suffer. So, I will do the same thing to the it will happen like that. So it's the same thing, let's not think like that. We have to break it. That no, we will prove it, that no, the philosophy works. Otherwise, it's not that there is some fault in the philosophy. It is the application which we are not able to apply. When we go to temple, we put up the best of our behavior in front of devotees, Vancha kalpatarubhascha, all that humility, tolerance. We may give classes also on Trinada, Vishnu, and sit on the Vyasasana and also be able to speak. But when it comes home, that's the real pleasure. People will tell you, oh Prabhu, you are such a good devotee. Mataji, you are a fantastic devotee. Don't believe them. If your husband or wife gives you that certificate, believe it. Believe it only. They give the certificate because they are watching us 24/7. Am I right?
Yeah, I think this factor of behaving the way we have seen our parents do, this comes very important. In our travels for the last 15 years, we have seen several such cases where even very well-meaning devotees who have really become connected to ISKCON, become surrendered in a particular way, taking diksha, and they may also rise up to leadership positions. I'm reminded of one case where the father is a leader of ISKCON, a very senior person. In order to discipline his son, a growing son, he would always discipline by beating him. The son did anything which is not as per his understanding of what is right and wrong. The way he would not speak, he would just first slap him and then tell him what should be done. So the son now who is in his teens, right, was getting really wayward and he was not really becoming a balanced person. And we found out as why is he like this? But he looks such a gentleman person. It looks very unbelievable that he's so kind and gentle when he's with Vaishnavas, he's a leader, he's a manager, he's coordinating so many temple activities. And Gharpe he's like this. So then the wife revealed that actually his both parents, mother and father, especially the mother, would beat him as a child. And that's how, because he came to a generation where, some of the older generations sometimes are very autocratic type of thing. They have 10 children and so there's no time to really take care of one and this and that. Next one, so the only language which was taught to them was beating. So somehow or the other, unconsciously, this father has gone to start beating his son. And now, after so many years, he's beginning to realize that he's a victim. He's a victim of bad upbringing. A young boy, I remember again, this time I'm saying this example to make us realize that we may be passive victims of things which we don't even understand. A young boy, a very nice boy, coming from India. Very gentle, very humble, came to the IIF teaching program, became connected, and looking for a little candidate, was married to a nice young lady, right? And he was the most gentle boy in his family. Everyone felt that, wow, this would be a great, happy marriage. Everyone blessed him and it was a great function. After marriage, this boy, he was so gentle, began beating his wife, abusing his wife physically. And this came as a shock to the congregation. How does this boy? And the news reached his mother. And the mother then, with folded hands, went to the daughter-in-law and said, "Baby, please forgive my son. Because my husband, that is this boy's father, would always beat me up. But I was from a culture where we never revolted, we never rebelled, we just tolerated. But the boy has seen all this, and it remained hidden in him till marriage. But after marriage, that thing suddenly, psychologically, it's got out. And from a simple, humble, gentle Vaishnava, become a violent devotee. Right? Till it took a lot of counseling from the senior leaders of the congregation to make them understand that you are a sorry victim of your upbringing, so please change your ways. And then he began to realize, and he would beat himself afterwards, said, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing to my wife. And somehow the marriage, after 3 years of abuse, was saved from breakage. And now they are happily married. So my dear friends, family life is a complex institution. It doesn't just happen because we become sort of devotees. There are so many emotional factors which can affect us. We need to become conscious of the various influences which have gone into our upbringing, right? And how to incorporate now the Krishna conscious component, which may be very favorable, but we will harmonize that with our improper upbringing as well, so that we can really have a good product. A good product. So ultimately, also product of us should be a wonderful thing. Right. So basically, we're talking about the bond, not James Bond, but talking about the bond, right? So it is bandhan. The vivaha sanskar is a bandhan. Any guess what the word vivaha means? Vivaha. We all use the word vivaha in our Hindi language, Sanskrit language. The Vaishnavas cannot know this word, but vivaha we say, right? Vivaha patrika. What does the word vivaha mean? Because every word in Sanskrit has got the deep meaning. The word vivaha, where the bonding of the boy and the girl, the young man and young girl takes place, stands for Vishesha Vahan. Vivaha. Vishesha Vahan. A very special vehicle. That means that God, Sri Krishna, our loving Father, right, has provided us this family structure as a vehicle where all members of the family can sit together comfortably, happily, very well bonded, and have their journey to the kingdom of God. That's the meaning of Vahan. So how to make the journey of life comfortable, happy and harmonious is what Krishna consciousness is all about. Right? So let's make it really a Vishesh Vahan. Make the Vahan a very beautiful journey. So when the word bond comes in our society, Krishna consciousness, we consider bond means bandhan, bandhan means suffering, suffering means too much problem. So is it a good bond? Because a bond usually we talk about detachment, right? But here they are glorifying this bond as if it's a great bond which we should get into. So, what about the factor of detachment then? So, this is a very healthy bond. A very healthy bond. Generally, we say this bond is, there are three types of bonds: single bond, double bond, and triple bond. A bit of chemistry, right? You know what a single bond? I'll give an example. Then you take salt. Salt is equal to sodium chloride, NaCl, right? What about water? What does happen when sodium chloride water drops into water? It dissolves, of course. Beyond that, take chemistry. It is called ionization. It ionizes into sodium and chloride. So that when the bond is a single bond, it breaks easily. Right? So, when only sense gratification is the reason for coming together, it's a single bond. In animal society, we find, female and male will come together, and they do not have lifelong relationship. A dog or a pig or a kangaroo can connect with one female, and there is no lifelong bond. They can move on to have the same bonding with some other female as well. So that's like a single bond which is almost animalistic. And we find in human society that's the bond which is most prevalent. Very easily it breaks. Very easily it breaks. The second is called double bond. Much more stable. So from the first bond is there basically for creation, created the situation of marriage or coming together for procreation of species. So procreation's only purpose is a single bond. And double bond is that means procreation plus preservation. Preserve the species. That is through emotional care. That's called as double bond. But when there is a purpose of marriage, it is procreation, preservation, and promotion of higher consciousness. It becomes a triple bonded marriage. Right? So Christian conscious marriages are triple bonded marriage. And triple bond marriage, please mind you, are the strongest bonds. Because triple bonds are hydrocarbons, very strong bonds. So we want to have a bond which really lasts. Therefore we take vows, we take a vow of marriage, and we take that in death we shall part. There is no conception in Vedic society of a broken marriage. You won't find any of our Quranic history anywhere, even when somebody is as atrocious as Ravan, and yet Manmantri is supporting him. When you find somebody as delusion as Dhritarashtra, right? Who's doing something completely contrary to his own welfare, yet Gandhari, who's blind herself, would never leave him. So there even apparently very troubled marriages in our scriptures, we don't find that they actually give up, but they see it as an element of God, and somehow their purification is navigated through that particular situation. They never thought of changing the situation, they change their attitudes. That's very important for us to understand. When we have a problem, what do we think? Usually we change our mind, change the situation. But how to create a proper attitude by which you can handle the situation is Krishna consciousness. Right? So,
when we say what is the meaning of a Krishna-centered bond? When we are talking about family life, are we talking about becoming a very, very lovey-dovey couple, very romantic, that sometimes our human mind is not able to draw that line of discrimination. In one center, we gave a seminar like this, and after some months, the temple president called us up and said, we just wanted to ask you, because he was not able to, he had to go out for something. He said, what did you speak in the seminar? Because one couple came to us, they were very actively doing things in the temple, and they, slowly reduced their services and were staying at home. So and they started quoting that they said in the seminar like this that we should take care of our family and no, we should be at home and we should be with wife and we should be with children and all. So they reduce their services. Is that what we are trying to convey? Mind, water always seeks its level. So mind might land up telling that, oh, now I have to just concentrate on my family. But that's not. What about the missionary activities if we just do that? And the other extreme is that we keep running to the temple so much and doing so many activities in the temple and we just neglect the home. Wife is sick, children are crying, the exams are there, sometimes the father doesn't even know which standard the child is. Because to which class is your son? 7th or 8th or 6th maybe. I don't know. These they get so disconnected because they are too much involved in temple activities. Why? Because they get a pat on the back when they do that. But when they are taking care of the family, they don't get